Have you ever had someone say something that felt like a punch to the gut, even though it sounded harmless? Those words can linger, can't they? Today, we're peeling back the layers on 7 toxic phrases that many of us hear every day. They may come wrapped in a smile or a well-meaning comment, but underneath, they can cut deep. Words have a unique power. They can uplift or tear down, connect or alienate. When we use certain phrases, we often don't realize the impact they have on our emotional well-being. You might think you're offering support, but instead, you might be dismissing someone's feelings or shutting down a conversation. That's why it's essential to recognize these phrases and understand their true effect. The fantastic news is that we can change this narrative. By being more mindful of our language, we can foster a culture where everyone feels safe to share their feelings. Let's embark on this journey together to replace these harmful phrases with words that uplift, validate, and connect us. Ready? Let's dive in. Now, let's start with a phrase that might sound familiar. You always, or you never. We've all been there, haven't we? Whether it's in a heated moment or a casual chat, those words can feel like a magnifying glass on our flaws. When someone says, you always forget to lock the door, it's not just about the door, it's about the underlying message that you're careless or irresponsible. That simple phrase creates a divide, painting a person as all good or all bad in a single stroke. Instead of drawing these harsh conclusions, let's take a step back and approach the situation with kindness and understanding. Imagine saying, I've noticed that sometimes the door gets left unlocked. It opens up the floor for conversation instead of closing the door on connection. This shift doesn't just change the words we say, it can transform our relationships. By recognizing specific behaviors rather than labeling someone, we create a space for mutual understanding and growth. We all have moments where we might fall short. It's part of being human. So why not give ourselves and others the grace to express those moments without judgment? Let's hold on to that thought as we continue our journey through these toxic phrases. Now let's talk about another phrase that many of us have encountered. I can't believe you're upset about this. When we hear this, it can feel like a punch to the gut, can't it? It suggests that our feelings are not only invalid, but also ridiculous. It dismisses the very real emotions we're grappling with and implies we should simply brush it off. This is not just a lack of understanding, it's a denial of our personal reality. Imagine someone sharing a story about their day, a small disappointment that felt monumental to them. Instead of offering compassion or support, they're met with disbelief. This phrase can make someone feel isolated in their struggles, leaving them questioning their emotions and wondering if they're just being overdramatic. It's crucial to remember that everyone has different thresholds for what affects them. What may seem trivial to one person can be deeply impactful to another. Instead of brushing aside someone's feelings, consider saying, I see this is really bothering you, and I want to understand why. This simple shift in language acknowledges the person's pain and validates their experience. It invites openness and creates a safe space where emotions can flow freely. When we approach conversations with empathy, we not only strengthen our connections, but also foster an environment where everyone feels seen and heard. Let's embrace this approach in our interactions, because when we validate each other's feelings, we nurture a sense of community and support that is so desperately needed in today's world. Next up is a phrase that often leaves a sting. You speak English so well for someone from Mexico. While it may seem like a compliment on the surface, it often carries an undercurrent of bias that can be deeply hurtful. This comment can inadvertently reinforce stereotypes and imply that people from certain regions are expected to struggle with the language, painting them with a broad brush that overlooks their individual abilities and experiences. Imagine being in a conversation, feeling proud of your fluency and the effort you've put into mastering a language, only to have someone reduce that achievement to a mere token of surprise. It's like saying, you don't belong here, or you're not what I expected. This kind of remark can make someone feel like an outsider, constantly reminded of the preconceived notions others might have about them. Instead, we can choose to uplift and celebrate each other's achievements without the weight of stereotypes. A more affirming approach could be, "Your English is fantastic. I really admire the insights you share." This not only acknowledges their skill, but also emphasizes their unique perspective, allowing them to feel valued for who they are, rather than where they come from. When we celebrate diversity without the lens of bias, we contribute to a more inclusive and supportive environment. It's a reminder that everyone has a story, a journey, and a voice worth hearing. Let's choose to amplify those voices, rather than diminish them with careless words. Now, let's turn our attention to a phrase that can feel like a gut punch. It's all in your head. When someone opens up about their struggles, be it anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges, this dismissive comment can feel incredibly invalidating. It suggests that their feelings are merely figments of their imagination, undermining the very real battles they are facing. Picture this. Someone bravely shares their experience, feeling vulnerable and exposed, and instead of receiving support, they're met with skepticism. This phrase not only minimizes their pain, but also creates a chasm of misunderstanding. It can make a person feel isolated, as if their emotions aren't worthy of acknowledgement or compassion. What if instead, we offered a warm embrace of understanding? Saying something like, "Your feelings are valid, and I'm here for you," can make all the difference. This simple shift in language acknowledges the gravity of their experience. It shows that we see them, hear them, and genuinely care about their emotional well-being. By affirming their feelings, we cultivate a safe space for open dialogue, encouraging others to express themselves freely without fear of judgment. When we validate emotions, we contribute to healing, both for ourselves and for those around us. It's a powerful reminder that our words carry weight. They can either build up or tear down. Let's choose to be the ones who lift others, fostering a sense of belonging and understanding. As we move forward, let's address another harmful phrase. "You're too sensitive or emotional." How many of us have heard this at some point in our lives? It's a phrase that can cut deep, making us question our worth and the legitimacy of our feelings. When someone expresses their emotions, be it joy, sadness, anger, or frustration, labeling them as too sensitive can feel like an attack on their very essence. Imagine being told that your emotional responses are exaggerated or unwarranted. It's like being pushed into a box that doesn't fit, suffocating your authentic self. This dismissal can lead to internalized shame, where we begin to suppress our feelings out of fear of judgment. We may feel like we have to walk on eggshells around others, stifling our true selves just to be accepted. But let's shift this narrative. Instead of shaming someone for their emotional openness, let's embrace it with compassion. Saying something like, "I appreciate your openness and vulnerability," acknowledges the beauty in expressing emotions. It encourages authenticity and reminds others that their feelings are not just valid, but essential to their humanity. Creating a culture that embraces emotional expression allows for deeper connections and understanding. It teaches us that emotions are not weaknesses, but strengths, tools that help us navigate life's complexities. By encouraging emotional honesty, we cultivate an environment where everyone feels safe to share their experiences, fostering deeper empathy and mutual respect. Now, let's talk about a phrase that might seem innocuous on the surface but can be incredibly damaging. Stop asking if I'm okay. Everything is fine. We've all been there, facing a whirlwind of emotions while trying to maintain a facade of normalcy. It's a phrase that can often mask our true feelings, creating a barrier between us and those who genuinely care. In moments of vulnerability, it's all too easy to brush off concern with a quick, "I'm fine." But beneath that surface, turmoil may be brewing. When we respond this way, we're not just shutting down others' attempts to help, we're also denying ourselves the opportunity to share our burdens and seek support. It's a form of passive aggression that keeps us trapped in our struggles, feeling isolated and misunderstood. What if, instead of deflecting, we allowed ourselves to be honest? Imagine saying, "I'm really upset, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet." This kind of honesty opens the door to understanding and compassion. It allows those around us to see our struggles without forcing us to share more than we're ready for. It communicates, "I need space, but I also need you to know that I'm not okay." This simple shift encourages authentic connections, where vulnerability is met with empathy rather than dismissal. When we express our struggles instead of masking them, we create a culture of openness, where everyone feels empowered to share their true selves without fear of judgment. We all have tough days. Acknowledging them can help dismantle the stigma around mental health and create a supportive environment for healing. As we continue exploring the themes of honesty and vulnerability, let's take a closer look at the idea of self-advocacy in our emotional landscapes. This is especially vital when we find ourselves navigating a maze of expectations, whether they come from work, family, or society at large. It's not uncommon to feel like we have to wear a mask, projecting confidence and composure, even when we're battling inner turmoil. But what if we prioritized our emotional needs just as much as we do our responsibilities? Self-advocacy means acknowledging our feelings and recognizing that they are valid. When we advocate for ourselves, we assert the importance of our well-being, signaling to others that we deserve to be heard and supported. For instance, if you find yourself overwhelmed by work pressure, don't hesitate to express your feelings to your supervisor or colleagues. Rather than saying, "I'm fine," consider saying, "I'm feeling quite overwhelmed right now. Can we discuss a way to lighten my workload?" This shift in communication does more than just express your feelings. It empowers you to take control of your narrative. It creates a ripple effect that encourages others to do the same, fostering a culture of support and understanding. By voicing our struggles, we invite others into our experience, letting them know they're not alone in their battles. Moreover, self-advocacy is a powerful tool in our mental health journey. It encourages us to seek help when we need it, whether that means reaching out to a friend, seeking therapy, or simply taking a break. It's about understanding that we don't have to shoulder our burdens alone. When we stand up for our emotional well-being, we not only enrich our own lives, but also empower those around us to break free from their own struggles. As we approach the final stretch of our journey together, let's delve into the profound impact of compassionate communication. It's essential to remember that how we speak to ourselves and others can either uplift or diminish our emotional landscape. In a world filled with noise and distractions, a kind word can shine like a beacon, cutting through the fog of doubt and despair. Imagine this scenario. A friend comes to you, visibly shaken, sharing their struggles with anxiety or feeling lost in their life. What's your instinctive reaction? Too often, we might rush to offer solutions or downplay their feelings, saying things like, "Just look on the bright side," or "You'll be fine." But these phrases, although well-intentioned, can inadvertently shut down the conversation. Instead, consider responding with empathy. You might say, "I can see that this is really hard for you. I'm here for you. Let's talk about it." This simple shift invites vulnerability, opening the door for a deeper connection. When we validate someone's feelings, we create a safe space for honest dialogue where they can express their fears and uncertainties without judgment. It's in these moments of raw honesty that true healing occurs. But this practice doesn't only apply to our interactions with others. It's equally vital in how we treat ourselves. When negative self-talk creeps in, like "I'm not good enough" or "I always mess things up," pause and challenge those thoughts. Replace them with affirmations that acknowledge your struggles without minimizing them. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't feel this way," remind yourself, "It's okay to feel this way. I'm doing my best." This kind of compassionate self-talk nurtures our inner resilience, reminding us that we are worthy of kindness, both from ourselves and from others. As we engage in compassionate communication, we become beacons of support, creating a ripple effect of kindness in our relationships. Every time we choose empathy over indifference, we contribute to a more compassionate world, where feelings are acknowledged and every voice matters. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe us.